You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler, this is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back with a new episode.
Yeah, we missed last week, right, Tyler?
Dude, like we're just missing all sorts of random weeks. I mean, we used to come with an excuse. I mean, this one is just, kind of busy.
Well, for me personally, it's very hard when I guess peel back the curtain into my life. Like in about 3 weeks, I'll be playing a lot more poker. And it's been hard to get fired up about doing a podcast about poker. Well, guess what? Not been playing all that much poker.
Yeah, luckily I was playing poker, but like you said, super tough whenever you're working 2 full-time jobs basically right now for the rest of the month. So
yeah, I had a question though, because I've been kind of excited about getting back into poker and getting into the grind more often. Like I say, it's in December I'll be playing a lot more. But I had a question that I think you would be really good to answer. So the bankrolls come up quite a bit from where it was. Like used to, we grinded up from 1-2, 1-3. You were into 3. I was buying in for 300, then a little 400. Well, now the buy-in for what I am should be anywhere from 700 to 800. But I was going to ask you, since you used to play in these bigger games and you used to buy in for a lot more, does it look a little too pro-y? Like when you buy in for that, if you're buying in at 750 at a 1-3 table, does it change how people play against you, or should you just buy in for 500 because it's less inconspicuous? It's more inconspicuous.
I think there's a number of variables with this. One, depending on how deep the game is. I mean, if everyone is sitting there with 700 and you buy in for 1,000, not that weird. That's
true. That's a good point.
If everyone's sitting there with $200 and you buy in for $750, it's a little odd.
Yeah, very, very true. Okay, let's split it. Let's do this. What if I'm buying into a 8-handed game? 2 people have 900 or so, and the rest of the table is kind of around how tables are. 2 people have $60. And the rest, of them have 200 or 300 or something like that.
Wait, say it one more time. So how much are the deep stacks?
Let's say the 2 deep stacks. Let's just call it 1,000.
Okay.
And everybody, there's gonna be 2 stacks that are $65 playing super short, and then the rest of the table kind of in that average, maybe 150 to 350 range. Mm-hmm. How much would you normally buy in at that point?
I would just match the big stack.
Okay.
I would just do the 1,000. And what I would do, to kind of avoid that pro-y look or whatever, would be to kind of give action some spots that you normally wouldn't. Remember how I used to always say, you would lose, let's say $50, $60 or whatever, but to kind of give that image? Yeah. That's when that would really come into play. Whenever you're playing, $1,000 deep, $1,500 deep, to where, if you kind of show that you're not that grinding pro, then sometimes you can stack off with the other guy for 1,000 when you have the nuts.
Well, I think I kind of use that as my button and cutoff raises, because I notice the players who are really good will know what's going on, but I'm probably more often than not, any suited hand, I'm raising the button if it gets to me. Well, if it goes to showdown, I'm showing something 8-4 suited. All the non-pro players, for the most part, are going to just be oh, he's playing garbage. They're not really going to put position. They don't really consider position when they're looking at these raises. So I kind of use that kind of naturally on the cutoff and the button, and hoping some of them will go to showdown at some point.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about giving action in the sense blind betting whenever you're under the gun, straddle, whatever, calling a bet, doing something to where it's very obvious and it's definitely a negative EV thing, but it definitely does not paint you in the pro category whenever you sit down and do that. And then you can play tight for hours on end, but I've definitely noticed that kind of helped. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about.
I just
like,
think
with
it's. I think the line of overdoing it becomes very, very subjective there, right?
for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you win, oddly. But
That's true. That is a good point.
I mean, sometimes some of these really bizarre. Like, I mean, shoot, I actually have one that I did this last session that like the game was good. I was trying to give action, so I squeezed 3-bet gigantic because I knew the guy was opening light because he was in like kind of a spot where he was going to open light. So I 3-bet him with 7-5 offsuit and got everyone to fold, and he folded, and I got to show it face up. Guess who got all the action they could handle that night?
Oh, I can imagine.
So, I mean, I'm talking about kind of stuff like that. You know, I only made it like $75.
Right.
But, I mean, that's because I was too concerned about that when I was buying in deep. Was like, you know, is anyone going to give me any action? And if you just play kind of like what you're describing, yeah, no, you don't get that much action. Correct.
Which I guess, and here's the other thing: does it matter? Because like if you're playing balanced, if nobody's giving, well, one is like Texas. I'm never really concerned about people giving the action. People fucking stack off for top pair for everything. But like I will say, it can change the image. But here's the thing: is if you're playing fairly balanced and they're folding too much for you, I mean, don't you just run over them with bluffs?
Yeah, I mean, trying to bluff in Texas is tough sometimes. But
yeah, but I'm talking if we're saying that they're not going to give enough action and they're going to play too tight, then that would be the obvious exploit on there, right?
yeah, I mean, you could try. But what I would, I mean, sure. But like what I would normally do was
Thanks, Joe Buck.
yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want, I guess. But like some things that I would do to avoid that pro look, though.
Okay.
I would purposely say things wrong, like sets and trips. I would say them backwards on purpose. I would purposely do something wrong, like bet a weird amount or something like that. Like that was definitely part of the game when I was doing it. I would purposely say things that were incorrect. I would purposely say things like you like to correct people on odds. I would purposely say wrong odds. I would purposely say something that's not right.
That's a really good idea, actually.
And I would do it all the time.
I do like that a lot.
Yeah, like you like to correct people and call odds. I like to purposely say I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So that's the difference, right? That's kind of more what I'm talking about whenever I say like to do. There's different things you can do to avoid that pro look.
Yeah, that I do like that, and I like if you're playing deep enough, I still like some of your other things as far as like a blind bet or something. Because if it's $10 but you're playing $1,000 deep, and at that point it's such a low percentage that it ceases to matter.
Well, and here's the other thing too: is like whenever someone sees you do that, sometimes like the mega fish will take it overboard. And they'll start doing crazy stuff. That's kind of the other thing is like if you can get like you get some of these guys who are like super whales, right? Because I would get guys who, you know, they own their own business. They only want to come to have fun. They do not care if they're winning. They don't care. They don't care about anything. They just want to have a good time. So if you're going to give them that good time, like you'll kind of play the game with them. Like sure, you know, you'll lose, you know, sometimes, but he might. But you know, I've been in games where I've seen like that mega whale lose $5,000 in a 1-3 game.
Yeah.
Just having a good old time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of trying to find that balance of giving action to kind of the right people, though, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Like,
no, that definitely makes sense. You're not trying to give action to other, studied players. You're giving action to the people who are on their third drink and celebrating their night off.
Yeah, exactly. So there's those type of things that you can do. Those are the kind of people that you blind bet or blind call or something. You don't do it versus other grinders.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Because other grinders knew what I'm doing. I know the difference between a set and trips, and I, you know, call out. I don't remember like, you know, whatever flush or like no pair board and calling a full house, just all sorts of random stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they know. They play with me a bunch of times. They know they've seen these tricks before,
right?
But that's just kind of some of the things I would do.
Those are all good advice because I was thinking about that. I was like, well, like usually when I see stacks as someone buying in fairly large, it's like there's two people who do it. There's either the pro type player who it's like a small portion of his bankroll, or there's a player who's kind of like, you know, just a good time but has a lot of money to deal. The problem being is when grinders try to act that way, it doesn't really it really doesn't work.
Yeah, because kind of like you said, they're trying to push an edge to where they're still playing correct.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was saying. You can do what you want. You can try to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because people catch on to that. Like whenever you're like, I'm betting 8-4 suited on the button. Well, a fish player isn't really. They're not that. Sorry, they don't see that quite like they do you blind betting them or blind raising them or something like that.
Oh no, 100%. I definitely believe there's a huge difference.
You overestimate how observant that drunk guy is who's on his third drink whenever you turn over 8-4. I don't think he cares. I think he's, trying to find the bathroom before the next PLO hand comes.
I mean, you absolutely. If there's ever anything you're right about, definitely it's that.
So that's why I say like using your button and cutoff range to try to make you look less like a pro isn't really the move. I think for you especially, not correcting people on strategy and odds would be just so helpful with not trying to look like a grinder.
Yeah, I try not to do that as much anymore, but I used to be kind of bad. I mean,
you still do it, but
yeah, it's like I think I do it less than I used to. It's like,
yeah, you used to do it all the time. Yeah. I was like, what is happening? I was like, you just get your Jonathan Little hat on and just a little dry erase board and Clint's drawing out all the outs, and I'm like.
What would happen is, most of the time at the table, like nobody who plays with you would ever imagine you having a podcast.
Right.
Like you are super silent, super stoic, and not really doing like I'm usually talking like shit with somebody or something like that. Unless I'm card dead, then I'm just pissed off,
crying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times or during that, like the other stuff would kind of just seep into it without me really realizing what it was going on.
Yeah, but I'm mentally taking a note of that. Anytime I'm talking with someone like that in the game, I'm purposely saying wrong things to them. That's That's always happening. I'm not letting, me calling the odds really happen like that.
That makes sense.
In that situation. Because like you said, I mean, that is a big concern whenever you start kind of doing what you're kind of broaching now.
Yeah, it's because now, so probably just, it depends on kind of the stack sizes as far as how much to buy in. And then at that point, like you say, just kind of.
Well, I would always buy in pretty deep, but I would just, obviously if the table is super shallow, it doesn't matter. You can always add on, right? There's nothing against that if someone sits down with more money.
Yeah, I guess I was more like on the light terms, like say I buy in for 750 versus 500 could I just do 500 and have it look a little less conspicuous type deal?
I think if you buy in with 700 and then do something like, it's weird because like you try not to seem like a dipshit, but it's kind of like you kind of want to perceive that you're just not a good player, right? That's kind of the point, right? Yeah. So you kind of do something where you're like, sure, you may punt away $40 to $60, but people are like, well, that dude doesn't know what he's, that dude is just out there wild, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, like I say, it's very dependent on your buy-in because, me and you, this is where me and you are gonna go different. Is I don't know how much equity you're getting if you punt away $60 versus and back and what you're gonna get called with. Sometimes a lot, sometimes a crap load, but sometimes literally nothing as well. So I don't know. But I do agree, if it's a small enough percentage of your stack, let's say at $50, let's say if you're playing 1,200 deep, it's not a big percentage of your stack at all. And if it gives you that option,
I said, sometimes you win and you do something dumb, and I mean, bad plays get rewarded sometimes. I mean, I've done really dumb stuff, and when people are like, what is happening? And I'm like, I don't know. So, that's obviously not the plan.
Tyler's like, and I do that every 20 minutes or so. Yeah. I'm like, Tyler, you're just describing a shitty player. I'm like, Tyler, you are the way.
I mean, basically. But that would be kind of my thought process on it, though. If that's something that actually concerns you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I thought about that today, and I was like, well, that seems like a good question that you would really have a good answer for.
Well, I would just, like I said, really avoid, talking any sort of strategy at the table unless you're going to just say something horribly incorrect. Like I used to just say things like eights are hot, let's go. Couldn't fold it, stuff like that. So
Oh god, that's great actually. That's a well, and not talking strategy at the tables. One of the basic rules too, not to do. It's just
you just can't resist.
well, I don't think I talk strategy at the table. Mine's more
so
like
much.
no. I think you're full of shit. I think like
No.
I will like call out hands, or I won't let the pot get pushed the wrong way and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's not what we're talking about.
No, I do not think. I think you are overblowing it 100%.
I mean, I've seen you at the table count your odds out loud. Seen that? That's not what you want to be doing.
That's true.
I've seen that a bunch of
is
times.
doing that.
Seen that a bunch of times. I've seen people say the wrong thing and you correct them. Don't want to do that either. Well, you know what I do? I agree with them. I tell them you're right.
Yeah, all that. It's probably happened. Yeah, that's definitely all happened before. So okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you're at a poker table. It's happening. So let's. But I do have some interesting hands for you, at least.
Thank God.
Clint's like, well, I don't like this anymore.
Let's get off this subject.
Yeah, it's like, if you need a training website, I think. But yeah. So okay, let's have an interesting one. So there's a button straddle. I'm in the small blind. I make it $16. I just sat down. The game's pretty shallow here. That's why it's $16 instead of $30.
Okay, button straddle is 1-3.
Yeah, so it's $6.
Okay, and you make it 16. This
Yeah,
is
it was definitely not the plan. I think I grabbed the wrong
Yeah,
chip. I was
I
trying to
don't-
make it 20 and then grabbed a white, but really
Yeah.
but get 3 call. No.
Wait, what do you have?
Pocket kings.
Pocket kings. Okay, you make it 16.
Get 5 calls.
I mean, which is gonna happen when you make it 16 off of a button straddle. But okay.
Right, no, but I'm also the small blind. So I'm first act here. The flop comes king 6-4 rainbow. I check it. It checks all the way to the button. He bets $10. I call the 10. The other 4 players call. The turn is a 9. I check. Then now a new player approaches, bets 20. The button calls. I make it 150. The original guy who made it 20 jams for 140, and then the button jams for 175.
I was gonna say I thought 150 was too much.
Well, no, but they only had 140 and 175 behind. So,
Well, yeah, but even more so because I feel like I can get the stacks in just easier. But I mean, obviously they have something to. Well, because you're blocking so much, there's not really much out there, and it's so. Very nice. I mean, like, well, I don't know. We don't know the results, but you have the nuts right now. So.
River's an 8. I win.
Okay, so well played. I was thinking like make it like 80 there.
Yeah, see, this is part of that that persona. Whenever I played with these people before, it looks like I'm trying to steal it. I think to them.
Oh, 100%. It definitely looks like that.
Yeah, they never show their hand. I turned the kings over right away because it was one of the ones where I'm just like, wow, I feel like I just have to be way ahead here. I got them. So.
Oh, like I say, you got the nuts right there, so it's 100% you're way ahead.
Yeah. So here's kind of an interesting one. So this is a PLO hand, so we're just going to kind of skim over it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't even, in my notes, I don't even put the bet sizing or anything. But basically, I flop top set with aces versus someone else flopping a set of 4s. But the turn brought in the flush, so it went check, check.
Okay.
I river quads. But then when I pot it...
now he has the full house. So.
Correct. But then when I pot it, I also don't stack him. Because obviously we check the turn. Do you ever in PLO... I mean, you wouldn't... Isn't it so face up? If you flop a set, you bet the flop big, you get called. The most obvious draw comes in and it goes check, check. That like... Do you ever bet that turn or do you just...
That would not be betting
Never.
that
It was
turn,
just...
no.
Okay.
I mean, like PLO is such a draw heavy game. I don't know. I think... Well, one, okay, like, let's say someone has the flush. I don't know how deep y'all are, but if you check and he bets, you might have odds to call drawing to a boat. But if you bet and he re-raises you, I mean, you're completely done.
Okay, I was curious because I was just kind of thinking about that hand, and I was like, is there ever a time that I bet there would top set?
No.
Do I ever get taken advantage of checking and him being able to bluff me off because my cards are so face up? I was just debating that.
There's just not that much bluffing in PLO for the most part, and I know like other people might say like in other areas, but Texas is usually fairly face up. If the obvious flush draw hits, then they're gonna have a ton of times. I mean, at that point, you either fold or you have odds, or you just kind of calculate your odds you have odds to draw to the boat.
Okay, like I just wrote that note down there just because I thought it was interesting and make at least an interesting conversation topic.
Yeah, agreed. But I like the way you played it.
Okay, because I always play it that way. Like whenever I flop super strong and the most obvious draw comes in, I check, they check, or they bet and I just fold. It's just I just didn't know if there was any exploit there that we might be able to explore, but doesn't sound like it.
There might be like for a higher level, but I will say this: I think the way we're doing it is definitely profitable for PLO in Texas, and I still think probably more profitable.
What's it called? It's the less variant. It has less variance in the most variant game. So that's kind of nice. So
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, definitely whenever I'm sweating the variants of PLO. Here's an interesting. Well, it's not that interesting, I guess, but I'm in the straddle with pocket threes. I make it $31 over a bunch of limpers.
You're the button straddle?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm always torn if I should be raising with these middling pairs like this. Not middling, low pairs on the button when I'm straddling over limpers.
How many called your straddle?
We'd probably guess like three or four.
I think I like just checking it and seeing a flop.
Yeah, me too sometimes. But I raised to 31.
Well, I mean, my theory is that a lot of people, if you're going to get called a lot, then, I mean, like, I would much rather have just more implied odds of playing a smaller pot where I'm not risking as much. And then, like, if I hit big and if I hit set to a top pair, then we can go crazy with the betting. But that's fine.
I get jammed on for $75. Everyone else folds. I call. I'm up against Ace King, and I win. So that was nice.
That was nice. I did like the call after you got jammed on for $75.
Yeah.
Weird way to play Ace King into a straddle pot with very, very with a low stack and not. Seems like you'd be raising there, but okay. Glad you ended up winning that hand.
Me too. I got set over set in a bomb pot. That was sad, tragic for me. I lost $125. That's all I put.
No, that's going to happen. And set over. I mean, actually, sounds like a great bomb pot for you if you got set over set and that's all you lost.
Yeah. So remember how last week we had that awesome double board bomb pot where I had aces and a nut flush draw and everything else? Remember that? Yeah. And I scooped this giant pot. Same exact situation, except for I lost both boards today.
Well, variance will even out.
Yeah, I flopped top set, the nut flush draw, with pocket aces, and lost both boards. That's all I put, and it was for quite a bit of money. I was pretty sad about that whole situation.
Everything about that statement seems like it would be for quite a bit of money.
Yeah. Let's see.
These details of your notes. Phenomenal.
Well, they're bomb pots though. Like I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't convert well to a podcast.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though. Whenever I lose, end up losing like $350, $400. Definitely feel like we need to include it at some point.
Yeah, it definitely needs to tell the story of the session. We're not really analyzing as much as like just using it to like kind of explain how the session like. You lost shitloads, and we went over two hands in which you won.
Exactly, because guess what? The next hand, I'm going to win. So, so we definitely need to paint this picture. Well, actually, here, let me see. I got aces to kings, and so it was one of those ones where I did. So how did the betting go? I 3-bet and the person only called, and it looked like they wanted to raise. So we're heads up, right?
Okay.
So I 3-bet, they call, even though it looks like they want a 4-bet, but they haven't. This is someone who's been like limping a lot of pots, right?
Okay.
This is their first big bet, and it was like a really big bet. So then I 3-bet them, and they only call.
Okay.
And this person's pretty deep at this point.
And what do you have again?
Aces.
Okay.
So I 3-bet, they call. The flop comes all low cards, but 2 hearts.
All low cards.
It's like, you know, like
hearts.
whenever it's a 3-bet pot like
you
this.
have the ace of hearts?
No.
Okay.
But whenever it's like this situation, I'm already assuming it's like jacks, queens, kings.
Okay.
Like out of this type of player, right?
So, I mean, this is a great flop for something like that where, I mean, y'all both have an overpair.
Correct. So I do like the classic down bet here.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Are you in position or out of position?
I am, let me think. So I 3-bet them, so I'm going to be in position here.
Okay, so yeah, classic down bet about third pot is about what I would go to.
That's exactly what I did. They call. The turn brings in the most obvious draw, the flush, right?
Okay.
But it's all still low. It's like 3, 8, 4, something like that.
Okay.
This actually. How did the betting go here? This card killed the action. No. It did not bring in the most obvious draw. This was the problem. I turned a set. That's what it was.
Oh, well, yeah, I can see where that would kill the action.
That's
yes.
what killed the action. So I actually check here because I was like, well, it's a draw heavy board, but I don't think they ever have a flush draw here. I think they have kings, queens, jacks. So if I check here, it makes it look like I too don't have an ace, is what I was thinking.
I don't mind this. I kind of like this play.
The turn, complete brick. So now we're looking at just an ace high board with a missed draw. They check. I bet not even that much, like $200 into this pot, which was probably like 3/4 pot.
Okay.
And they hum and haw. And they're like, do you really have an ace? And they call, and they had kings.
Yeah, that ace could have really dicked you.
Yeah, could it have. It did.
Yeah.
I mean.
It's that's... I mean, like, so many things are weird about this hand. The fact that you didn't get 4-bet here.
Like I said, it looked like they wanted a 4-bet real bad.
Yeah, it's I definitely like where your head was at, that the draws really didn't matter there, because they don't. I agree. I don't think they ever really do much.
Oh, I mean, you're the one who's really been preaching that to me.
Yeah,
because that used to be my argument in all these situations to size up. Would be like, well, look how draw heavy it is. Like 7, 8 is there, or 2 hearts are there, and where you're like, well, in a 3-bet pot, how many people ever have? You'd have to have exactly like ace king of hearts or ace queen of heart, or but whoever is also calling it 3-bet with like 8, 7, whenever you're like 100 big blinds deep, no one. So it's not really something you have to worry about.
Yeah, it's people are more scared of the flush than they really need to be
in those situations.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it'll happen. Like, it's one. Well, I mean, I'd say when it's heads up, it's hard to make a flush, and people immediately give credit when that flush draw hits. Now, if you're playing in a 4-way pot and you bet the flop and there's 3 callers, at that point, yeah, absolutely. That turn card, it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah. So I ended up booking a small loss on the day on that one. But guess what? The day, far from over. I just switched rooms.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
I think Tyler was not getting any poker in and just got all of it in on one day.
Yeah. Let me look. So, I mean, I got trash in a bomb pot again. I mean, guy flopped a set on both boards. I flopped open-ended with a flush draw on both boards and bricked, and that was kind of expensive. Like I said, bomb pots. The notes are just, I just say, I lost a bunch on it. Is basically the moral of the story on it.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, even PLO hands are pretty tough in a podcast. I mean, PLO bomb pots, it's just almost impossible.
I mean, here was a super kind of sad situation. Oh, no, this one isn't sad. This one's pretty good. So I raise ace queen of diamonds from early position. No, sorry, from late position.
You raise, or is this a 3-bet?
I think it went limp, and then I made it 20.
Okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah. I make it 20. We get 2 callers. The flop comes ace 3, 4 with 1 diamond, rainbow. So it's diamond, heart, club. In my notes I have ace of diamonds, but definitely not because I have the ace queen of diamonds. So let's say it's ace of hearts, 3 of diamonds, 4 of clubs.
Okay.
But the small blind donks 25 into me. I only call.
I think I like the call.
I call. The other guy folds. Now we're heads up. The turn is the 5 of diamonds. So now I have top pair with ace, queen. So I have the ace. But any deuce makes a straight. But I'm not that worried about a deuce.
Seems like that'd be such a weird donk lead. Yeah, I agree. I'm not too worried about that either.
And I've turned now diamonds to go with my top pair.
Okay.
And I have a gutter with a deuce. Well, I guess that'd be the board, but
Base,
whatever. Yeah. So he checks. I bet 100. He calls.
I like this.
The river is the ace of spades.
The trip aces.
Yep, so now I have trip aces. So instead of hitting my flush, I now have trip aces. He checks. What are you doing here?
I don't really feel the need to size up or size down here. Meaning, like, so my normal bet would be 2/3 pot. Sizing up, I don't really. I feel like I can get a call easier from like a under pair, under ace, like under aces. I think about 2/3 pot would be where I go.
So let's see. So I bet 100 on the turn. He bet 25. So that'd be 250. So we'll call it like 175, 200 in the pot total probably.
Let me see. 20, 40, 60, and then he bets 25, 50, 110, and then it should be 310. Should be 310 in the pot. So I'd probably bet about 200.
I check it back.
Huh?
And, yep, I check it back. And he has full house, pocket fours. Fours full of aces. Avoid disaster here.
You did avoid disaster. There are so many places you avoided disaster because this guy played this hand so weird that you could have just... Because I was actually thinking maybe even raising the flop. Because I was like, is a set really going to lead out? Mm-hmm. Like a donk bet into this. And I would think almost never. Like strong hands, donks usually are not strong hands. But I was like, well, you could probably play it cautiously, and that's probably the way I'd play it there. I don't know how you ever, like, what caused you to check this back? Because I can never in a million years find myself checking this back here. So how did you end up checking here?
I was super suspicious of his donk bet.
Okay.
And then once he called the 100, I was like, this could be dicey for me, is what I was thinking. And then, I mean, I don't know. Then whenever the board paired, I was like, well, I just don't think I'm good here that often. How he played it, whenever he donks 25 and then I bet 100 and he calls. It was just a live read.
Yeah, that was a great live read. I can't even get like to a spot where I guess you could say the ace on the river is bad for you in a way, because most likely the big hands that you're beating are aces with lower kickers. But I mean, you're still, I don't know, you're still pretty strong here. Completely, that was a great check back in that spot, because I 100% am losing a shitload there.
Yeah, so that was a nice one to get away with. Still ended up losing a little bit on the session. That was sad. So, but like you say, losing the minimum sometimes is really important too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because we're all going to have losing sessions. I mean, it's part of poker. But if you can minimize that, if you can maximize your wins and minimize your losses, that's going to be huge in the long run. Yeah.
Let's see. That hand was not that interesting. I'm trying to hit you with the interesting ones before. I have one. I 3-bet a guy with ace queen. He jammed for 600. I folded. He had pocket kings. That sounds about right.
That definitely describes a losing session. So yeah, I can see that.
All right. So here's going to be a really interesting. This is going to be probably the most interesting part of the podcast for my sessions, at least.
Okay.
Let's see if I can remember.
Most interesting part. Tyler's like, I kind of had this hand.
Yeah, I forgot. No. Okay. Let me see. So I raised a hand with 9-7 suited. Okay. Turn the nuts. Bet gigantic. Board pairs. I bet big again. I get flat called. Guy had full house. Okay. Lose quite a bit of money on this. Have to rebuy. Right.
Okay.
I was like wondering if that was. This is just context for the next game.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's why I didn't go in too much to death.
But in this situation, right? So I turn the nuts, get river dead, right?
Okay.
Super sad for me. Was wondering if that was a spot I should go for value when the board pairs whenever I turn the nuts, bet big. I don't know. Kind of a hit or miss spot. But why I didn't have notes on that hand is because the very next hand, I add on for like 600 or something because I didn't get stacked there, but I did lose enough to where I was like, wow, definitely need more money than this.
Okay.
This is a tilted call right here. This whole play is a tilted call or a tilted play, but
that's Tyler's words for Clint. You're gonna hate this.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Oh no, yeah. You're not gonna like this one bit. No. So I didn't even write down where I was positioned in this hand. That's how. I mean, so guy makes it 20. I call with Queen Jack offsuit. Me and him are pretty deep. The guy who just took all my money 3-bets us to 60. The other guy calls. Is back to me closing the action. I call.
Okay, I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna go into it because I already hate that. So I mean, you already addressed that, so we'll just go from there.
Mm-hmm. The flop comes Ace King 10 rainbow for the flop stone cold nuts.
I hate you so much.
Let's see. I check, or the other guy checks. I check. The guy who raised us bets 35. I call. The turn is the 7 of clubs. He bet 75. I jam 455 in. He calls me. He beats me into the pot.
God almighty.
Yep. Then I win.
Well, that's the thing about having the nuts. He probably had like ace king, right?
He had pocket kings.
Good God, you are evil. Did he lose his shit?
Kinda, but the same thing just happened to me though. I had the nuts and the board paired. I had the nuts again, and this time the board doesn't pair. I mean,
yeah, but you're showing up with a hand that literally should never ever be like. Well, and don't get me wrong, I think it's stupid when people lose their shit on stuff like that because you want these, but I mean, just it's such a weird hand for you to have here. It's Queen Jack offsuit.
No, but I was like. I mean, he was definitely, like the little tantrum, like, like imagine someone on the ground kicking their feet and screaming, kind of like that. But it was like, I was like, you just got the money the same way. I mean, I just had the nuts a second ago and then the board paired.
Well, I don't
and I had the nuts again. The board doesn't pair.
Did he have a set on the first one?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, definitely did not. I mean, he called with a pocket pair, hit a set, and the board paired. I mean, way different than You calling with queen jack off in a 3-bet pot and flopping it straight to a set, right?
Very similar to me. I mean, I had a straight both times. He had a set both times. I don't see the confusion. So I had a straight both times, right? He only had a set, so I was technically winning both hands. And then he got lucky. This time he didn't get lucky.
You're fucking evil. That's all I got to say. This is not an explicit podcast because I can't handle my emotions anymore.
Don't worry. I beat you to that when we made this podcast, told him that we were going to have to be considered explicit.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad now.
I was like, I knew these situations were coming.
Yeah. Tyler's like, I pissed Clint off all the goddamn time, so why would I stop now?
Yeah, but that was... So, well, I guess you see it his way. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was... I told the person, I think it's weird. I think he's being a little baby about it. I mean...
Oh, no. I think 100% anybody who cries and bitches is being a baby. And like 100%, I don't agree to that. It's just Queen Jack is so weird to show up with offsuit in a 3-bet pot.
But I could have flopped a straight. You know what I mean? So
Well, you could have and you did.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're going to flop a straight, you should call.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was basically it. I ended up, like, basically breaking even on that session. That ace-queen hand where I 3-bet and got 4-bet by kings ended up making me lose a little bit on the session. So that was kind of annoying. But I also played a very short session. Those are basically the two big hands. Because, like you said, not like you said, like I said, I played one session earlier, took like a 2-hour break and went and played another session. So this one wasn't that long. But it was really nice to hit that or have that Queen Jack hand hold to basically break even because I was kind of buried in that game after that.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that game sounds like you really were just getting killed and were able to break even, which is always a really good feeling.
Absolutely. But I guess, that's it for me if you have anything else.
I've got, I will say looks like maybe Monday I might be taking a trip to Lake Charles.
That'd be cool.
And playing over there. So... You know, it's always fun because that's kind of where poker for me started. Like I would like the little bar poker games way back in the day, and the little cash games here and there. But I remember those trips to Louisiana pretty fondly. So it's always nice to go back, especially now that it's not a la Capri anymore. It's now Horseshoe. It has been remodeled
have you seen
and everything. I went right after they did it.
Yeah, that's so nice. I wonder if the poker room still closes early. You got to be cautious of that.
It did then.
Yeah, I was saying, like, still. Well, I guess you're going to be back early enough so it won't affect you, but...
I think Monday it might be a problem, because when we go there, like, I think on a Monday it probably will end up closing, like, at midnight or so.
Oh, are you spending the night? I thought you were coming back.
No, I was going to spend the night up there.
Here's the one good thing, which, for people like me and you with just the weirdest sleep schedules, it's going to be tough, but the game starts really early over there because like you get a lot of like the retiree people, so if you go to bed the game does start really early and you can kind of catch some action before you go home. That's what I did last time.
That's true. And like I think it's gonna get there fairly early too on Monday, so I'm hoping to maybe go there like both me and you get off Monday morning, so probably take a like 3 or 4 hours sleep, go over there, and if I'm feeling halfway decent, probably gonna play rather than take a nap. But it's get in there a little bit early, and just in case that game breaks and it closes earlier than I'd like.
I mean, we'll end with this just because we can't just keep this podcast going forever. But I do think that those casino games sometimes are even softer than some of the games in Houston. Like, you get those people who just are there to play at the casino, like just blackjack and craps, and they come and just sit down for fun. I mean, you get some really fishy players there, like who just have no real interest in studying poker or anything. They just want to come check it out just because they saw the poker room by the sports betting room.
Oh, 100% agree. It's like you say in Houston, if someone goes to play poker, they are going to play poker at least. Someone can just be there and have time to kill, and want to go and play poker. Because really, in all honesty, it's how we started. Like, it was just cheap gambling. You play poker. You're folding a couple hands. The other hands are $10-15. You can gamble for a lot longer than you can at $15-20 a hand of blackjack.
I mean, yeah. And just think, I think the minimum's like 25 a hand. It's something ridiculous. I mean, I just remember I've only played it so few times that every time I'm appalled that people can play at such high stakes and blackjack. And it's the minimum.
Oh yeah, yeah, 1,000%. It's so yeah. I think you're absolutely right in that. It's like I don't know. The action's great here, but
It's like different action though. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard to explain. I guess when you come back, you can. I mean, I might just be way off, and you have no action when you go. But I just noticed it's just like those casinos are just a different kind of action sometimes.
Well, I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping I get in some good games, and
Well, I hope you win. That's why I don't care if you get in a good game. I hope you win.
yeah, that's true.
Win
That's
all
a
the
good point.
money.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.